Good morning, Rumble or YouTube. I have no idea where I'm going to put this one. Maybe both. Let's talk political for a minute. With the elections all coming up. Ugh. So, obviously, Ron DeSantis and other candidates are all. I think Ron is actually really, really similar to Pierre Poilievre in Canada. He's just a down to earth kind of Republican, run of the mill. It sounds really refreshing, anything they say, because how crazy the other side is, right? You don't have to be very sane to sound phenomenal to everyone right now, because our leaders right now are fucking insane. I think we all know there was cheating involved. And then in Canada, which is happening in the States now, there's too many parties. And so you can win with 25-30% of the vote. Because there's 4 parties in Canada. Not that the Green Party gets that many votes, but they still take maybe 12% or something like that. And then NDP, I voted NDP for a long time. They take a good chunk. They'll get 20, something like that. And then the Liberals and the Conservatives fight over the rest. So no one ever has a minority government. Unless they can get another, like the Trudeau government right now has the NDP backing him up. So he's getting away with all kinds of insanity because he's considered a minority because there's the 2 parties. Anyhow, my first opinion on Trump right away, I don't trust him. When he first started to run, I didn't trust him. When he first won, I didn't trust him. As he did policies, I was starting to trust him a little. Even his like starting to burn coal, all these other things. If you actually look into it, like he was shit on for releasing a bunch of environmental policies and just abolishing them, but they released the oils and all the money flow started to come in because of those. As a fairly educated person, I know that climate change is natural. Our planet has always gone through hot and cold spells where we get 30 years of hot and then 30 years of colder and then 30 years of hot and then 30 years of colder. And it's actually in 15 years, but it takes time for the changes. And that's why we see glaciers grow and shrink. That's part of why. The other reason why we see that is because if magnetic north is moving, the pole is moving, then the ice with it is moving. So the glaciers melt on this side of the ice as they form on this side of the ice as the cold spot moves. I don't think we're correct about the movement, but it does move. I think it's moving faster than we speculate, just because of the Bible. Anyhow, and I also think that there was some time erased at some point, like an age was um, taken off of all of our maps, where they went from this age to this age too quickly. It's like they skipped this age. Well, maybe the pole skipped that age, and it just jumps from, it, it does 30 degrees slow and then does 15 degrees fast, which would also explain Noah's flood and a lot of things. And this all works on flat Earth in one way, and it works on globe Earth pretty much. Anyhow, the Trump thing. So I still can't really fully trust him. He was an actor. He's hung out with them his whole life. He's been part of that society his whole life. And it seems to me like he was more of the carrot. Sorry, Trump, I know you're red. I don't mean it that way. But he was the carrot on the string. So it's easy to get liberals to go fucking nuts and burn down their own city, but it's pretty hard to get Republicans to do that. So you give them a bite of the carrot, and then you take it away and dangle it in front of them. And they'll get nuts. They'll get way more nuts. Especially when he wins and doesn't win. Then you get really worked up. But I think it's planned. Like, Trump sat down with Biden and planned this all out. And I'm sure that Barack was there and Klaus Schwab was there. And they made a plan. And Trump pulled himself away from the society for years, right? And was interacting with them, but just not as much as others. And so they had it. So they had their guy set up, ready to go to do this. If you look back, like, they planned things well in advance. Been posting Pike's letter. Shit, can't remember his first name. But if you look up Pike's letter about the 3 world wars, we've played out. He wrote it in 1871, and we've played it out perfectly to the fucking letter. And you got to go read the last war for yourselves, and then don't get so fucking worked up over Israel conflicts and all these other Muslim Jews and all this shit. We are a Christian nation. We have to stick to that. Remember that. And remember that no matter how much of their fucking science they throw at us. Look at Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, he's supposed to be their big front guy for science, and not only is he a failed actor who then became a physicist, he's look at his policies. Look at what he does in interviews. Go watch him and that other leftist guy. Shit, I can picture his face, but I can't think of his name. Bill Maher. Yeah. Go watch his Bill Maher podcast. It's funny as shit. But the guy embarrasses himself constantly, not only with LGBTQ crap, but with science. The things that the conclusions they draw are retarded. Um, anyhow, uh, so I just can't trust him. Same goes for Elon Musk. Worse for Elon Musk because he owns SpaceX. There's no space. He's fucking well aware of that. Let me tell you, he knows that. But he's still telling you he's going to Mars and all this shit. Guaranteed, he knows that there's no space. And even if there was space, like we couldn't get through the Van Allen belts. And then, uh, let's say that we somehow got out. Well, they say that there's a solid barrier around us and the moon that is our protection. And if you were to penetrate it, we'd be sucked out into the vacuum of space. If you sent one of those shuttles into space, they're aluminum. If you hit a bird, it fucks a plane right up. Hitting a goose, look that up. Planes that have hit geese. Um, they're the whole front of the planes are crushed. Like looks like a wow. Looks like somebody drove into a pole. Anyhow, so those rockets they're shooting off that are pop riveted together are not gonna withstand space. Look at a submarine. It has to be a solid steel tube, and then all the riggings are on the inside. Out in space, you'd need way more than that. Way more than that. Look up reverse vacuum on tractor trailers, where they'll the air valve malfunctions, and they're sucking the fuel out with a pump, and then eventually the truck just goes like a pop can. You just watch it shrinks and everything because it crushes so much that it shrinks the length. You can watch the wheels go move forward, and it just like nothing. Just like if I was to take my hand on a pop can, it just go crush. It flattens it in the center. There were still like pieces of it left on the outside edges, but the center of it was flattened right out. So if you were out in the vacuum of space in an aluminum fucking can, that aluminum can with air in it would be torn apart. Look up a pop can in a vacuum chamber. There's a guy, he just put a pop can in a little plastic vacuum chamber that he made out of plexiglass, and he hooks a vacuum up to it and sucks all the air out, and the pop can explodes. Just pop. The can's like torn up, and all the pop evenly distributes throughout the can or throughout the vacuum chamber. Well, that's what would happen to a rocket in space or a spaceman in his little spacesuit. There's no way, and NASA could prove it to you if they wanted. I don't know how I'm getting on NASA. Oh, SpaceX, because Elon Musk is a total liar. Sorry, that's where I was going. Anyhow, let's pretend that Trump isn't a sleeper agent. That he actually does, and that they're actually, the left is this stupid that they're coming after him the way they are even though they're getting the reverse um, over and over. They're getting the reverse of what they actually want. Now, that automatically has to bring you to Vivek. He's saying everything that Trump isn't. He's got a plan for the swamp. He's got a plan for a lot of things, and it's a good plan. To go in and just delete half of all these fucking federal douchebags. I wish Pierre was saying the same in Canada, but mass layoffs. It's so smart. And I know you're thinking, well, what about all those people that get laid off and all this stuff? Well, they'd get laid off first off, so they'd get their unemployment. And if they're so skilled and so necessary for society, like they think they are, they make huge amounts of money, most of them, then they should have no problem going out and getting a job in the private sector. Especially if all those positions are gone now, then the private sector is going to have openings to move into all those positions if they're so useful. If they're not useful, then tough titties. I'm not paying for something that isn't useful. All right? I pay those taxes in order to get useful outcomes. If you're not useful, then I don't want my money wasted on it. It's like Netflix, or paying for a bank account, or fucking drinking booze, or just so many things that cigarettes, that you can cut out of your budget. And if you thin your budget, then all of a sudden your lifestyle changes, because your bank account's not empty all the damn time. And so now you got to think about, what do I do with all this extra money? The other thing I was able to cut right away, while I still had an apartment, was rather than having home internet, phone, cell phones, house phones, fucking all this shit, I just cut it all down to having just my cell phone. And that helped in a lot of ways. Only having that one internet source, and it being only on the little screen, kept me away from the big screens. Rather than sitting and playing games or jerking off, I started painting and practicing the guitar more, and cooking a bunch of stuff that was fun and interesting. Much better use of my time, and then not drinking too, right? So no hangovers, and had money to do those things, and wasn't constantly worried about what the hell I did when I was drunk. Like, did I wreck my car out drinking and driving? Did I whatever? Fucking, I didn't really get in fights with people or anything like that, but I like to drink and drive. That's what I grew up doing in the woods as a young feller. Anyhow, so Vivek is interesting, and then just coming out of nowhere, it has a more solid plan than Trump, I think, in a lot of ways. For anything that I've seen so far of Trump, I haven't really been following him, like the highlights from Trump aren't as good as the highlights from Vivek. But I find that Trump this time around has learned some lessons about playing his cards too soon, and so he's holding them a little closer to his chest, and he's letting out some stuff about what he's going to do, but he's not coming out saying I'm going to prosecute this person or that person so much as like Hillary he did in the first one. He's not talking about mass layoffs or going after the FBI or going after the CIA or any of that stuff that I've seen. And but he's going to. Obviously, he's going to go after all those judges and all these false prosecutors and all this shit. I hope they all lose their jobs and really go to prison. Same as if Vivek gets in, he's going to put them all in prison and pardon Trump. But I don't see Vivek getting in. But I do see Vivek getting in at the same time. I hope that I'm at least half wrong about Trump and that he's maybe not seeing everything, but seeing a lot of stuff and knows a lot of stuff and is actually righteous in his own mind. And so with the knowledge that he has, right, rather than being a plant. So, but he didn't do enough when he had the chance. He did a lot, but going after Hillary and going after the FBI more and CIA and all these crooked agencies and their crooked leadership should have been a little more prioritized. Especially coming in from the Russian bullshit and all that. He knew how crooked they were. Live and learn, I guess. So anyway, I'm really, really hoping that Vivek's playing his cards so loosely because he's actually playing Trump's cards. Right? And that's why Trump hasn't introduced his vice president quite yet. Because his vice president is running for president as him. Going to the debates as him without anybody knowing it. So he already, in my imagination, already picked Vivek. They sat down, and I know there's a money family, like a Rothschild type family, just different name, I can't remember it, that helps Trump, funds them. So they probably sat down together, hopefully, and said, this is going to be your vice president, but nobody fucking knows who he is. Nobody knows his politics. Nobody knows his policies. Nobody knows anything about him. So we're going to run him as a president in the primary. He's going to say all the things that we're going to do. Trump, you're not going to say those things because you don't have to until the actual election. In the primary, you don't have to say those things because Vivek's saying those things for you. And so once it gets down to just you and him, you can just play your cards out and say, oh, well, guess what? Doesn't matter. We already are. Vivek's going to drop out of the race and be vice president. It'd be genius if that's what they're doing. So then that way we all get to hear and we can look back and say, okay, well, here's what Trump's plan is, because it's everything that Vivek's been saying. And, they might never tell us that they planned this all in advance. They could play it out like they just go to debate each other and shake hands and say, here, I step down and I'd be honored to be your vice president or whatever, and then it sets Vivek up for 8 more years. If he does a good job on the floor, right? Then he can continue the fight, take it to the end, and get this all fixed. So that's my hope on it. Now, do I actually think that they're doing that? I don't know. It's just how I would play it. If it was me, that's how I would do it. And Biden, something's going to happen to him. He's going to have a heart attack or a stroke or whatever and not qualify. At the last minute, they'll bring in whomever. I don't think they'll run him, especially not against RFK. He'll get, I'd say, half the Liberal vote. And he'll get probably half of the Liberals who've been slowly converting, like Russell Brand, say, type of person, might, because that's the way I was too. I was raised and am liberal for the most part, but education and life experience and the Liberals going fucking batshit crazy has made me into a conservative. So combination of things, but I think mostly because the Liberals went batshit crazy. Otherwise, maybe I wouldn't have noticed. Maybe I wouldn't have wanted to switch so badly. Or had to, you know what I mean? If it wasn't so fucking obvious in your face, might not have thought, I'm out of here. Anyhow, the RFK is wonderful for Trump because he's going to really not hurt the conservatives, but he's going to destroy the Dems. I think more than half of Biden's, because when you think about those crazy leftists, there's not quite as many of them as they make it look like. The news makes it look like they're everywhere and stuff, and there are definitely a lot of them, but I don't think there's that many. And I think more and more of them are waking up, and with RFK having a voice on the liberal side, kind of, a lot of them will be moderate enough to say, okay, no, he's better than Biden. So I don't think they can run Biden. They're going to have to run Newsom, is what it looks like. But who knows who they'll run? They could run Hillary again. Anyhow, Newsom is doing stuff, going to China and whatnot, that's out of character for his position. He's doing presidential things, sitting down with Xi Jinping, and I thought of something earlier, I can't remember. Yeah, so sitting around with Xi Jinping and just having his gross meetings and sit downs and talking about how they're going to destroy the West with green policy while China does nothing with anything green and supplies everything with no emissions laws at all. and then we all fucking complain about climate change. Oh, I got a fly in my soup. Yeah, so we all complain about climate change. There may be actual global effect to carbon. I don't think that there is. Everything's gone pretty stable patterns. So I think that's just bullshit. That the Earth can handle carbon. It's meant to. It's what it does. The more trees we cut down, and when we spray chemicals in the fucking air, and make these cloud machines, and shoot radio waves to make it rain, and do all these things, that affects climate. But driving your car and cows farting, I don't think that's affecting your climate at all. And I don't think they're strong enough to affect anything either. They're like nothing to God. He's laughing at them. So anyhow, that's my political thoughts right now. That's where I think the stage is. I hope the stage is with the Trump thing. Tucker Carlson, everyone's talking about that. Him being vice president, I think that's not his thing. He said that that's not his thing. So is Trump, though. So who knows? Anyways, guys, God bless you. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and remember that all this stuff is going to work itself out. We're going to work it out one way or another, and it's just more a matter of the actual Israelites waking up than it is a matter of us fighting anybody. Once they wake up, then we may have to fight somebody, but we'll have the gifts of Israel. So Mike Tyson, Bo Jackson, fucking all those guys, and we'll also all be blessed by God to win. So we'll be unstoppable because of that. And this whole situation will mellow, and we'll have a good world again soon enough. No worries. Keep that in mind. Pray for each other and love each other. Get along. Don't worry about race and cultures and all those things. That's all bullshit. We're all brothers and sisters with different thoughts, and everybody can learn. Even jihads can technically learn. Usually when they do, they're the type that'll like break down in tears when they hear the Bible, because it hits them so much and they've never heard it before.